What is poppin', Umbrella Heads? It is me, MT, and welcome back to the Heavy Spoiler Show, y'all. Let's go ahead and do a breakdown of the final season of The Umbrella Academy on Netflix. I am so sad to see this series go, but we have got to talk about what has happened throughout this series, as well as all the Easter eggs, and what the hell that ending was about, because, blobs and stuff. Let's just get into it. Alright, first, we have got to talk about that rather strange ending to a really great show, because what the heck was that whole picnic scenario about? Well, apparently, according to the laws of this universe, the members of the Umbrella Academy were never really supposed to exist, which is a huge bummer. And their existence basically brought upon the birth of the multiverse, a cosmic structure that was never really supposed to exist in the first place, because there was only ever supposed to be one singular timeline. And that's the timeline that we see at the very end of the finale, when we see Allison and Lila's family having a fun family day out alongside a number of actors that have appeared throughout the course of the series as different characters. And this is all, of course, while I Think We're Alone Now by Tommy James and the Shondells plays in the background. And then after we get a look at all these people living their true happy endings, we get this super beautiful shot of this tree in the middle of the park, with the camera leading us to the base of the tree where we can see 8 yellow flowers magically spring to life before the series finally comes to a close. And as you guys probably could have guessed, each of these flowers are supposed to represent each of the members of the Umbrella Academy family that all held hands and became one with the Benefer Apocalypse Beast as it absorbed all of their essences, seemingly reincarnating all 8 of the Marigold-powered Umbrella family into actual marigold flowers. However, I do believe that these flowers are merely an extension of a much bigger reincarnation, as I believe that these flowers are merely a reflection of the love that all 8 of them had for one another. Because in my eyes, the Umbrella Academy reincarnated into this very tree at the center of this park after the Benefer Beast absorbed them all. Like, this tree is straight up all 9 members of the Umbrella family together. I mean, we did see at the end of the season how Ben and Jennifer's mutated bodies appeared to form roots around the building that they were in while they were transforming after all, so it seems like this Benefer Beast's multiple tentacles eventually became the branches of this tree. And thanks to all that marigold energy inside of them, this tree wasn't just an ordinary tree, but a magical tree that can give life, much like how the marigold energy was able to bring life to all of the Umbrella Academy kids by surprise impregnating their mothers. This tree is all 9 of these marigold children as one singular being. One giant magical tree that acts as an umbrella for everyone around it. And because of that, I believe that this ending is pretty damn special. And ultimately, I feel like this ending served what I believe was the overall theme of the season: letting go of our attachments and embracing change. Whether it be through the story of Ben and Jen, or Allison and Klaus, or Klaus and his addictions, or Five and Lila, which was really weird, or Diego and Lila, or Diego and his hero complex, or Reginald Hargreaves and his resurrected wife. This season seems to be tailored to tell a tale about surrender, with pretty much everyone surrendering their expectations for what they imagined or planned their futures to be, and accepting the tides of change as they come. A perfect theme for an ending to a show that has a large and dedicated following of fans who don't want to see this universe come to a narrative end so soon. By having the Umbrella family end their journey by accepting the end of their universe with open arms and unity, it seems like showrunner Steve Blackman wanted fans to truly accept the end of his Netflix universe in a similar vein, and to embrace that change to make room for something new and beautiful, while also simultaneously allowing all of these talented actors to move on and create more incredible art. But like most stories, it's not just about the ending, but it's also about the journey to the ending. So let's go ahead and go over all of those fun Easter eggs and details that we find throughout that journey, shall we? This season, of course, takes place in the year 2025, with the Umbrella Academy living in the new universe that was created as a result of Allison rebooting the universe using Reggie the backstabbing aliens machine at the very end of last season. And right away, we are introduced to the oddly close, crazy couple of the season, Gene and Jean Thibodeau, with Nick Offerman playing Gene with a G and Megan Mullally playing Gene with a J. Both Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally are of course married in real life and have been since September 2003. Both Jeans apparently participate in the Northeast Regional Euchre League on their spare time. You know, when they're not being batshit crazy cult leaders on the side. But we would soon see work mixed with pleasure when a sketchy man carrying a suitcase of timeline anomalies comes by to show Jean and Jean his super rare paradoxical wares. And inside his suitcase, we can see a stack of notes presumably written by Sir Reginald Hargreaves himself. Within these notes, we can see important keywords like Jennifer, the Cleanse, New Grumpson, which is where Jennifer lived, and Marigold, alongside a t-shirt for the 2000 New York Olympics with the Statue of Liberty as its logo. Something that never happened in our universe, as the 2000 Olympics were hosted in Sydney, Australia. And on that t-shirt, we can also see pins supporting John F. Kennedy's re-election, which is odd because Kennedy famously never made it to his re-election in our universe due to something more pressing taking priority in Kennedy's mind. I don't know what it was. Then at the bottom of the suitcase, we have a number of alternate universe movies and books like X-Field 2, The Glitch, Juryland, XO Marks the Spot, Don't Turn Around, and The Magnificent Adventures of Mary Louise. But the most notable amongst them is a book called The Umbrella Effect, which we would learn later is the name of the multiverse timeline theory created by Jean and Jean, a book called If Kennedy Lived, which is the name of a book in real life written by Jeff Greenfield in 2013 that explores an alternate timeline of what would have happened to America and the world if JFK didn't get dome-pieced on November 22nd, 1963. And of course, the two nearly identical copies of a fictional movie called Love on Loan 2. A movie that has the main actress played by a Laura Hochstad in one universe and Alison Hargreaves in another universe, presumably this one. Then the scene transitions to Nova Scotia, Canada, to a bar that Victor has opened called Vic's, and it's a place where all of Vic's girlfriends are welcome to walk in and dump him whenever they need to, because let's face it, Elliot Page is too suave for this world. And after spending years away from his family, Victor gets a call from Luther at the strip club urging him to attend the birthday party of Diego's daughter, who was born shortly after the gang arrived in 2019 after Lila hid her pregnancy from Diego for a good chunk of last season, which is why her birthday cake has a big old 6 on it. Then we see Luther the stripper donning a spaceman outfit as a nod to his time stranded on the moon before stripping it all off to Bad Touch by the Bloodhound Gang. And while this song plays, we catch up with the rest of the Hargreaves family, as Diego works a super unfulfilling job as a postal delivery man, Allison as a struggling actress, and Ben as a newly released prisoner from the Avalon Minimum Security Correctional Facility after bankrupting over 100,000 people due to a Bitcoin scheme that he would call Sparrowbit in honor of the now deceased Sparrow Academy from last season. When Luther picks Ben up from prison in his old busted-ass Chevy Citation, he tells Ben that the universe brought them together and he thinks that's great, which would actually end up being proven right, as it seems like the cosmos had set up this reunion of the Hargreaves family to happen, you know, with a little bit of help from Abigail Hargreaves, just so the reunion could eventually bring about yet another apocalypse, as they appear cursed to do apparently. And when this song ends, we catch up with a 3-year sober Klaus being the super protective and germophobic uncle of Allison's daughter Claire, who, after not existing in the last universe, exists happily in this universe with her mother, even though her parents, Allison and Ray, have apparently split over the course of those 6 years. Five, on the other hand, has been slowly rising up the ranks at the CIA, with one of his recent missions finding him deeply embedded within the silent but growing Keepers cult under the fake name Jerome. And while attending one of the Keepers' lower-level meetings, one of the members recalls memories of a different timeline when he accurately says that Reginald Hargreaves is an alien raising child super soldiers. And then when Five is invited to speak at this meeting, he tells the complete truth about his past, including how he's now technically 63 years old after spending 45 years in a future apocalypse, which we saw in Season 1, as well as his involvement in the Kennedy assassination, a key plot point in Season 2 of the show, as well as the second volume of the comics called Umbrella Academy Dallas. And later, when Five reports his findings to the CIA, he's encouraged by his boss to completely drop his mission, with his boss calling the Keepers a bunch of Looney Tunes, a reference to the popular Bugs Bunny franchise of cartoons. But little did Five know that his boss was merely trying to keep his own involvement in the Keepers cult on the low, much like Lila was in her own way when Five runs into her after being invited to a higher level Keepers meeting hosted by Jean and Jean themselves. The genes then play a presentation for their gathering of psychos called the Umbrella Effect, a practical study of contemporary postmodern malaise and timeline purification, with the symbol of an inverted umbrella being the symbol for both the phenomenon as well as the Keeper's cult as a whole. And during this presentation are a number of really fun Easter eggs, like this front cover of an Umbrella Academy comic book, a vintage comic book design that was originally created as a poster for the show. And you know it's vintage because it even includes the old Comics Code certification that comics used to have to get to make sure they weren't inappropriate for the children. And then we get a series of Umbrella Academy action figures featuring Luther, Klaus, Five, Diego, and Allison, with Ben and Victor figures likely being absent due to Ben's death and Victor never really going on missions thanks to being sidelined by their manipulated father. Then we see a picture of Reggie Hargreaves on the grassy knoll on the day of JFK's assassination, with Reggie being revealed as the infamous Umbrella Man that has been cited in the background of photographs of that historic day, a figure that has been at the center of many conspiracy theories surrounding the assassination as well. Then we see pamphlets of Klaus's old Destiny's Children cult that he named after the R&B group Destiny's Child, along with the picture of the bus that all the members of the cult used to ride in. And then a little later, we see an Umbrella Academy baby stroller next to a Sparrow Academy stroller that two different variants of Hargreaves used to push their babies around in, before we see a damaged time machine briefcase from the commission. After this, we get a look at the book that Victor published back when he was called Vanya, called Extraordinary: My Life as Number 7. A book that revealed a ton of Umbrella family secrets to the world in both the Netflix series and the original comics. Then not long after this, the Umbrella family receive a note telling them that a kidnapped Victor was being held up at Cy's dry cleaning, causing the family to all head there. And while investigating the place, in comes Men in Black 1 actor David Cross playing the character Cy Grossman, but would actually of course end up being revealed as Abigail Hargreaves in a Cy Grossman flesh suit, which is gross. And actually Paul made a great observation the other day about how David Cross has now dealt with 2 skin-crawling aliens in his career, as he was famously face-to-face with Edgar the Bug in Men in Black 1. Abigail would then hand the gang a newspaper article that mentions how the Umbrella Academy saved the Eiffel Tower, a reference to the first volume of the Umbrella Academy comics, where the Umbrella Academy had to fight the Eiffel Tower itself, as the tower was secretly a spaceship in disguise, much like how the World Expo Observatory Towers were secret spaceships in the first Men in Black movie. And another Easter egg in Cy's box comes in the form of this vintage-style Umbrella Academy comic done in the style of the old Marvel comics. And on the front we can see the title, Enter the Televator, with the televator being a reference to the high-tech elevator created by Reggie Hargreaves in the comics to facilitate time and interdimensional travel. And we might have seen a small glimpse of that televator at the very end of last season when the Umbrella family appeared in this new universe after exiting a mysterious elevator. The televator was also referenced amongst Reginald Hargreaves' notes in season 2 of the show as well. Also in Cy's box is a pink dog mask, the same one that Mary J. Blige's Cha-Cha used to wear back in season 1 of the show, as well as in the comics. Her partner Hazel wore a blue bear mask that we would see pop up amongst Jean and Jean's collection of artifacts in a later episode. And later on, when the team is having dinner while discussing what to do with the marigold that Abigail left for them, you can see that the box also has a Ben action figure inside, next to a piece of clothing with the words "The Hotel Obsidian" on it, a reference to the hotel that was the main setting of season 3, and also a hotel that took inspiration from the Hotel Oblivion from the original Umbrella Academy comics, specifically volume 3. But this dinner would of course end with Ben spiking the family's sake with bright yellow, very hard to miss marigold, which all of them but Klaus drank, with it being revealed later on that Klaus spilled his marigold sake behind his back onto a nearby waiter, quite possibly giving that random side character waiter superpowers. But since that moment is never really referenced again in the show, I feel like that possibility is unlikely, but I kind of really wish that they explored that at some point during the show. But something that is super important to note at the very end of this episode is how Ben was the only one amongst his family to drink multiple shots of marigold, with us seeing Ben down at least 2 of these marigold shots in this episode before seeing him consume a couple more drops of marigold the following day when he reveals what he did to his family. This excess intake of marigold could have been the catalyst for Ben's rapidly radical transformation into the giant apocalypse monster that we see at the very end of the series. And part of me wonders whether or not the Umbrella Academy could have bought themselves a little bit more time if Ben hadn't drank so damn much. This then leads us to episode 2, which opens to Luther, Diego, and Five discovering that their powers are back while Powered Up by Cobra Man fittingly plays in the background. And during this song, we see Five looking into Cy Grossman and discovering that, prior to having his skin taken by Abigail, he was actually a pretty stand-up guy, even using his dry cleaner to save a local sports team from going under, according to this newspaper article that Five finds. Then when the group all assembles back at their run-down alternate universe home to address their new powers, Lila's laser vision suddenly activates, slicing a bunch of things in her path. But what's really strange about that moment is how the pillars supporting the upper level of the room remained completely intact, either pointing to Hargreaves reinforcing those pillars to withstand such a blast in the past, or just an oversight by the production itself. Not a huge deal, but those pillars should have came down real damn fast after that. Then after the group argues for a bit, they head back to Cy's dry cleaners to find the place completely empty, with only a map pointing them towards the fictional town of New Grumson, Maine, causing them all to hop into Diego's van to be subjugated to listening to hours upon hours of the Baby Shark song, a song that has tortured parents across the globe ever since it came out in 2016. And some would say that that was the real apocalypse, but hey, they're probably right. They gotta play that shit at Guantanamo Bay. But anyways, when the gang actually arrive in New Grumson, Maine, Ben complains about how the team should have done recon like he would do with the Sparrow Academy, with Victor responding to that by saying that they're not the A-Team, a reference to the insanely popular TV show that debuted in 1983 about a team of mercenaries for hire starring my grandfather, Mr. T. And it's a show that also got a really kick-ass and underrated movie back in 2010 starring Liam Neeson, Charlo Copley, Bradley Cooper, and MMA fighter Rampage Jackson that I highly recommend. Still pissed that that never got a sequel though, but you know, that's just how my life works. God damn it. Then shortly after this, Diego of course makes the tight squeeze back into his old uniform, telling everyone that it fits like a glove, to which Klaus jokingly says, "Yeah, OJ's glove," which is a reference to the famous glove that was at the center at the trial into Nicole Brown Simpson's death. A glove that OJ claimed did not fit, but let's face it, that shit definitely fit. And then when the gang enter the town itself, you can hear Christmas carolers singing the first Noel as Ben enters Jennifer's cozy corner diner for the first time, with Jennifer wearing the completely wrong name tag when she starts talking with Ben. And it's kind of wild to think that if Jennifer didn't call herself Rosie, Klaus probably would not have gotten shot and died because Ben probably would have gotten Jennifer back to the group a lot sooner. And after this, we cut to Klaus in the van giving himself a tarot reading, with that reading predicting his relapse to come when he draws the Lovers, the Tower, and the Death cards, showing that he's about to lose control and get laid and die a lot again and again real soon. But after Allison asks for directions towards Jennifer, the town starts to get extremely creepy and starts to stare at the group before picking up their guns and shooting at their nosy intruders, just like Hargreaves instructed them to, with even the children of New Grumson even being trained as soldiers as well, in typical Hargreaves fashion. And in the heat of this battle, Five teleports to a mysterious subway station that links him to all the other universes in the multiverse. And when Five approaches the subway train, a female voice speaking backwards can be heard over the intercom. But when you actually reverse the audio, you can hear her say the words, "The doors clear, stop you, the train is arrive, stand clear, please minute trains 10, or something like that, which sounds like it roughly translates to, "The train is arriving, please stand clear of the doors." However, when Five actually arrives to a neighboring universe, a man's voice can be heard instead over the intercom saying what sounds like, "Station arrived, welcome, clear please, door arrived," which sounds like it's supposed to mean, "Arrived at station, welcome, please clear the door." It's definitely hard to hear with all the noise in the background layered on top of these voices, but it seems like these alternate universe intercom voice sentences have been intentionally scrambled. But anyways, when Five heads up to the surface of this new universe, we can see that this alternate New Grumson has a few visual differences than the other, with the statue at the center of the plaza being the most obvious difference, as the first statue was that of a man that looks like he could be a younger Reginald Hargreaves, whereas this new universe has a female statue, with that woman presumably being Abigail Hargreaves herself. We can also see that the banner in this new universe reads Holiday Sale instead of Holiday Festival, and has a Coffee Queen cafe to the left of the frame here instead of a store that looks like it's called Ephemer's Mom's or something, but I can't really see what it actually says because this stupid ass Christmas tree is in the mother freaking way. But Five would soon travel back to his main home-based timeline just in time to dodge gunfire and get saved by Diego in the van. But oh my god, surprise! Klaus just got shot by a crazy white lady, causing all of his siblings to freak the hell out and give him the marigold that he refused to take, reawakening his connection to the dead. I also noticed that it wasn't until this final Umbrella kid decided to take the marigold that Ben and Jen's powerful connection with each other really started to take hold, because in my opinion, it seems like the cosmos needed Klaus to take that marigold in order for all the pieces of the cleanse to finally be on the board in this universe, which is what happens directly after Klaus's resurrection when Jean and Jean ram their Chrysler LeBaron Town and Country into Diego's van. Then episode 3 starts off with a flashback to Kensington Wharf on Tuesday, January 23rd, 1995, when we see Jennifer being birthed from the body of a giant squid creature. And as soon as Jen pops out, she starts rambling about the cleanse, prompting a Reginald Hargreaves hidden in the crowd to start arranging for Jennifer to be isolated in his fake town of armed guards. Then later in the present, as Klaus and Allison are fighting about him being force-fed marigold through the old bullet hole, Klaus claims that he's about to hit a rock bottom as deep as the Mariana Trench, with the Mariana Trench being the deepest oceanic trench on the planet at a whopping 7 miles deep. And then, after that bit of sibling drama dies down, Ben goes to a nearby mechanic shop to check out the weird markings that have appeared on his arm after getting Jennifer's nasty cooties all over him. And while doing so, we can see a vending machine for Sarsaparilla to his right, with Sarsaparilla being a clear parody of Coca-Cola. But no, real talk, check out Ben's arm here, because that shit looks a lot like glowing tree bark to me, possibly a bit of foreshadowing towards his eventual metamorphosis into a tree at the end of the series. And then a little later, while Diego is channeling his inner Sherlock Holmes on the hunt for the keepers, he does a bit of dumpster diving to discover paperwork pointing to Jean and Jean's previous involvement with Golden Mesa College, along with information that the couple had on the infamous Jennifer incident that occurred on October 14th, 2006, the same day that Ben died in their original universe. And in the file, we can also see that Jennifer was apparently born on May 8th, 1987, which predates the October 1st, 1989 birth date of all of the members of the Umbrella Academy by 2 years. Then, after Five and Lila take a trip to the original Moon Apocalypse timeline, they're forced to run away from the Five stranded in that apocalypse, while Five's mannequin of an ex-wife Dolores can be seen cheering him on in the background. Man, do I wish I had a wife like Dolores. But hey, you can't just buy a woman like that in a store, I'll tell you what. But anyways, later we see Abigail disguised as Cy approach Ben in Cy's dry cleaning truck in order to encourage Ben to just trust his instincts and his body, because that crazy bitch wanted to trigger the apocalypse. And she does so while giving Ben a motherly embrace with both hands touching his face in order to connect with him, teasing Abigail's presence inside Cy's body ahead of that big reveal at the end of the series. Later on in the episode, when Luther brings up Cy Grossman in front of Abigail, we get another tease towards her connection with Cy when she flashes a super guilty look on her face. But anyways, after this, we see Jen being brought to Jean and Jean's barn collection of interdimensional anomaly artifacts. And among these artifacts, as they walk in, we can actually see a newspaper article that says, National Guard calls for backup, the Umbrella Academy, as well as Luther and Ben's action figures, the Reggie Umbrella Man picture from the JFK assassination, a little Sparrow figure, an Umbrella Academy lunchbox, and a poster for a boxing match between Diego and a guy named Rosati that appeared in Season 1, Episode 2. And then right after this, we see the bell from Hotel Obsidian from Season 3, followed by a figure of the Sparrow Academy's Pogo and his Sparrow tracksuit that we saw at the beginning of Season 3, Episode 6, which is next to a couple of boxes of Clever Crisp cereal, a cereal created by Reginald Hargreaves himself in the comics. And there was actually an advertisement for Clever Crisp cereal in Season 1, Episode 3, after Klaus robs a convenience store. Then, after we see Jean nuzzle Hazel's old bear mask from Season 1, we see some Sparrow Universe Pogo Go-Go snacks next to the comic-accurate gas masks of the Temps assassins from the Umbrella Academy comics, with these assassins of course also appearing in Season 1, Episode 10 of the series. And then next to that big old squid corpse that they decided to keep around in their barn for some reason, we can also see a figure with a sign that says the end is nigh, which is something that we saw an old man carrying in Season 2, Episode 3, with that sign being a clear tribute to the sign that Rorschach used to carry around in the Watchmen comic and movie. And a little later, when Jean and Jean's guards are shooting at Ben and Jennifer inside the barn while Cher's Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves plays in the background during Ben's rescue, we can see a newspaper article getting shot up that says City says goodbye to Reginald Hargreaves, which is a reference to the original universe when he died at the beginning of Season 1, with that newspaper being next to Victor's white violin from Season 1's finale. Meanwhile, Klaus is confronted by Quinn, some douchebag biker involved with the Mothers of Agony gang that Pogo was repping in the Sparrow Academy universe in Season 3. And much like what would happen in the Umbrella Academy Hotel Oblivion comics, the Mothers of Agony would end up using Klaus as an afterlife gigolo of sorts. And moving on to Episode 4, the gang then jump into Reggie's conveniently available mind probe machine to the day of the big Jennifer incident on October 14th, 2006. Breaking past the mind block that their father placed on them. The Jennifer incident is a big mystery from the original Umbrella Academy comics that was introduced in the very first issue in the form of a newspaper article on Luthor's wall in his moon base. But in terms of the Netflix show universe, the Jennifer incident was last mentioned briefly in Season 3, Episode 6, when Luthor was explaining to Sparrow Academy Ben about how special the original Ben was. And it's also during that same moment when Luthor ends up saying that Ben was the best of us line that we would learn this season was implanted into him by Reginald Hargreaves. And while the young Umbrella Academy gets ready for the big Jennifer incident to come, we see that the only one amongst them not doing so is young Benjamin, who we can see reading the 1957 novel On the Road by Jack Kerouac. But after Ben gets a scolding from his father, he reluctantly decides to join his siblings on the mission that would ultimately get his ass killed after he discovers a young Jennifer in a tank, which is kind of really fucking stupid on Reggie's part, because why the hell did you send the kids to retrieve Jennifer if you wanted to keep them away from Jennifer to keep the universe from exploding? Like, why not just pay one of your many mercenaries to plant the bomb on Jennifer's tank instead? Like, Ben straight up just wanted to stay home and do some light reading, but your ass was like, stop reading, you big nerd, and get into the Umbrella Academy version of the X-Jet so I can kill you later. Way to go, Reginald, you stupid mustache bag of dicks. But anyways, when the Umbrellas wake up from their memory probe, they start attacking this new Reggie for what their variant Reggie did, until Abigail speaks up and reveals that it was her who created the marigold in the first place when she found a way to synthesize a life-giving God particle of sorts. But in doing so, another particle called Durango was accidentally created, and that Durango energy resided within Jennifer. And speaking of Jennifer, later on we see Jennifer and Ben hiding out at a motel as they both watch the 1958 horror film The Blob in two different rooms, with a specific scene that they're watching containing the exterior of the Colonial Theater in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, and the marquee on that theater in the movie showing the name of Bela Lugosi, the actor who famously played Count Dracula in 1931's Dracula. And this moment is of course meant to be foreshadowing for when Ben and Jen both become a giant devastating blob themselves. But anyways, Episode 5 gives us a fun nod to the elevator battle from Captain America the Winter Soldier when Luthor fights all those crooked CIA agents that jump him. And then after Five and Lila have their creepy interdimensional romance and Allison helps Klaus from being buried alive, just like Robert Sheehan's other character Nathan was in the Season 1 finale of the show Misfits, the gang all discover where Ben is located and head straight there, only to find that things are far too late for Ben and Jen, whose growth simply could not be stopped despite everything the Umbrella Academy threw at them, which causes a completely defeated Five to take the mysterious subway train to a mysterious restaurant called Max's Delicatessen, where a bunch of his other variant selves, who have also given up, have decided to all just meet up and hang out together like the Council of Kangs or the Council of Reeds from Marvel Comics, with the walls of the restaurant being filled with pictures of all the apocalypses that each Five variant endured, with the apocalypses from each of the past seasons being present on that wall as well. And there, Five learns that his existence, as well as the existence of all of his siblings, had created the multiverse itself. And it's a revelation that Ben tried to communicate to Victor when Victor tried to suck the Durango out of him earlier, with that vision filled with green trees to foreshadow their future purpose of fueling that tree's growth with their energies. And so, to right the wrong of the multiverse, just like Abigail Hargreaves always wanted, the Umbrella Academy take this intel as a sign to embrace the end together with open arms, with their blobby bodies forming a 7-petaled flower before being fully consumed. Then the camera then dives within the very center of this blobby flower to show us the very roots of the multiverse being cleansed as memories of all the past seasons of the show flash on the screen, leading us to the one true purified universe where Diego and Allison's families safely travel to, blissfully unaware that their superpowered family members are responsible for not only this beautiful greenery all around them, but for the existence of this safe haven universe itself. And this is a universe that is filled with cameos of past characters from throughout the series who have been given a new chance at life here, with the most notable of these cameos being the Swedes Otto, Oscar, and Axel playing frisbee together, Hazel and Agnes biking together, a human version of Grace taking care of a baby in a stroller, the handler talking on the phone while taking a break from jogging, and Herb and Dot from the Commission playing a board game on a bench. And this is an ending that I was really happy with, despite this season kind of very much feeling like it was rushed. Like, I really wish that Netflix gave this show a full 10 episodes in order to fully tell a more fleshed out story, but I am super grateful for Netflix for not canceling the show randomly outright so we could actually get an ending to this super special universe. And I, for one, am going to miss the Umbrella Academy so damn much. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this breakdown of the final season of The Umbrella Academy. And thank you so much to Netflix for producing such a meaningful show. I freaking love this show, and I'm probably going to be thinking about it forever. And what did you guys think of this final season? Let us know in the comment section down below. You guys can follow me at Mastertainment on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever I am on the internet. But most importantly, follow Heavy Spoilers here on YouTube and hit that subscribe button, maybe hit that like button, and maybe even consider dropping by our store and picking up some of our merch. We got some really great merch for you guys. But either way, you guys are amazing for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.